Life with Angel. I hope you're having a great day today. I was going to share a little bit about my home birth experience with you today and things that I learned and little tips to give to you. So I was pregnant with my third child, Joyful. It's my second pregnancy, and I decided to have a home birth this time around. To learn more about my other birthing experiences, check out this video right below. But for this one, I'm just going to talk about my home birth experience. So a lot of people have some issues. They might be a little nervous. What do you expect? And what if you have an emergency? Are the midwives trained well? Is it safe? Is it scary? So a lot of these questions I thought through. And after my previous experience, I realized that I would feel more comfortable in a home environment. So the benefit of having a baby at home is you're in your natural comfort space. The place where you love the most and you're the most comfortable is where you can birth your child. And so one thing I learned through my birthing of 3 children so far is the best thing that you can do for your body is to relax it. So for me, being at home gave me the opportunity to be relaxed. So I went ahead and decided to hire a midwife. There's a couple of different types of midwives out there. There's the nurse midwives who work through a doctor, and then there's the CPM, certified professional midwives. So there's benefits to both. I actually interviewed both types of midwives, and I actually found 2 candidates that I equally liked. I chose one because the other one was going to be out of town at the time that she was. With a nurse midwife, there's benefits of, they have the medical training in case of an emergency, which I really thought was a nice benefit. So my other candidate that I chose is a certified professional midwife. With that, I feel like they have more hands-on training and more hands-on experience. Another thing is to look to see if the midwife works alongside of a doctor. So in my case, my midwife was Brenda Parrish, and she worked alongside of Dr. Boots Tailor, who is in Atlanta. So he was there as a backup in case something were to go wrong or my pregnancy ended up being a high-risk pregnancy. What would happen is then she would refer me over to him. But for me, having a home birth experience was absolutely beautiful. I was able to feel in control. I was able to have things go exactly how I wanted them to go. I was the boss. I was the one in charge. And at the same time, when I was in my vulnerable moments, when I was having my contractions, my midwife was able to lead me and to guide me. So for me, having the baby at home, we did the prep work all along. I went into my regular checkups, but I went in to see my midwife. And then halfway through my pregnancy, I went to go see the doctor. And for me, I chose to have one ultrasound in the middle of my pregnancy. And the reason for that was when I had the boys, I had no idea I was gonna have twins. So I'm a big fan of knowing if you're having more than one baby or not. And I think it's nice if you have one ultrasound in the middle of pregnancy. It's just nice to see that everything's going smooth and healthy. And I think medical intervention is there for a reason, and modern technology and sciences are there for a reason. And for me and my family, we've chosen to go this route of having one ultrasound in the middle. So for me, I felt it was safest to have an ultrasound in the middle. And we were able to do that and to see little Joyful and to see that she was safe and that she was growing optimally. So that was really great to find out. A little side note, this isn't necessarily about home births, but if you are curious about the gender and either you don't want to have an ultrasound or you don't want to wait, one thing that you can also do, we use something called SNEEKPEAK, and we can put the link below for you. But it's a genetic test that you just have to swipe. I think it was just swiping my saliva, and you send it in and you're able to find out pretty quickly if you're having a boy or girl. But going back to the home birth experience, when we were, I think I was 37 weeks when I noticed that she was dropping and I was getting close. I could feel it. And so I took it kind of easy at that point. For some reason, my body wants to have babies early. So when I was almost 38 weeks, I believe I was just a couple days shy, my water broke. And I had a great midwife who was wise, and she said, you know what, Angel, I'm going to give you a certain amount of time to see if we can have your baby naturally and at home the way you want. But if we pass that time, then it's going to be safer if we go into a hospital setting because of the risk factors. Once your water breaks, we don't want to have any contamination. So she gave me 72 hours, and my doctor also agreed to the 72-hour window contingent upon me staying at home and being careful to be in a more sterile environment. So what we did is we took it easy. I took it easy around the house, and then once that 3-day mark was getting closer, I got a little nervous because I wanted to be able to have my baby the way I wanted to have her, which was at home. So what I did is I did some natural interventions. I went on walks, I did lots of squats. It was cute. At one point, we went on a walk as a family around our neighborhood, and the boys were being pulled in their wagon. They were 2 at the time. And I just stop and drop and do some squats, and they would cheer me on, "Go mama, go! Go mama, go!" And so that's a cute memory that my husband and I have. So once I could tell that the contractions were coming and it was the real deal, I went ahead and called my doula. That's the other piece I wanted to offer you. Whether you have your baby at home or in a hospital, if you are one who can afford it, I think it would be a great option to hire a doula. It makes the world of difference. It is amazing. Her name is Karla, and she was able to offer emotional support for me as well as hands-on support. So at the time when I needed pressure, she would put pressure on the points that would help counteract the contractions, and she would help make, like for instance, at one point someone that was in my house got a little frantic and a little bit concerned. So she actually took leadership role and helped calm that person down and lead them into a room where I was oblivious to the fact that that person was a little bit emotionally distraught, because she protected me. And so she helped create this environment that was peaceful for me. And she helped me be in the place where I could focus on the job at hand. So between my doula and my midwife, I was able to have a great experience. I also had my husband present, and so he was involved, and my mom came over as well toward the end. So that was nice. And my kids, what we did with my kids, in case you're curious, well, what about the kids? You don't want to hear them to hear you. We had a basement. So we actually had the kids sleep in the basement that night, and that worked out well for us. If you don't have a basement, then you can probably come up with another creative solution, maybe grandparents or a babysitter or something like that. But for us, the basement was soundproof. As far as I was on the upstairs floor and they were on the basement floor, so they never knew. They just woke up the next day and had a little sister. So we had a birthing tub, and what we did is there's a packet. My midwife gave me a packet of things to purchase ahead of time, so that and we set it up when we knew my water had broken, or when we knew my baby had dropped. We got things set up ahead of time and went ahead and inflated the tub. And last minute, we had to obviously wait till last minute to fill it with water, but we already had the hose prepared and everything prepared so that we could quickly get everything done that we needed to get done. For me, I waited until I was toward the end to get in my birthing tub, or to get in the tub, because for me, that was what was best for me. I wanted to persevere through the contractions without being in the tub, because I wanted to save that for when I really needed it, because I didn't want to grow accustomed to it and get comfortable in that. I wanted it to be when I really needed it. So for me, when I was in the earlier stages of labor, I went on more walks. My doula went with me as well, and my husband, and we went on more walks around the neighborhood and stopped and did squats and had that movement in that helped me in the process. And then as I got closer, my midwife came, and we went up and transitioned upstairs to my bedroom. And at that point, at one point I felt like I could have vomited, and they hurried and got me a bucket. But throughout all this, I felt like I was so in control. It never felt like it was something that I couldn't handle. And then when I was probably 8 centimeters or so, I opted not to really get measured very much. I wanted to just kind of listen to my body and see what my body felt like it was doing. And when I felt like it was pretty close, that's when I got in my birthing tub that they had prepared for me. And as soon as I got in there, it was so powerful. I've had an epidural as well in my previous pregnancy. And to me, the birthing tub was so much more powerful and effective than the epidural was. For me, as soon as I got in that warm water, my body was just so relaxed, and I was really able to have relief. And that was such a beautiful thing for me. And so we ended up having baby Joyful in the birthing tub. My husband got in there with me toward the end, and he actually caught baby Joyful, and so that was really cool. He was the first one to ever hold her, and then he passed her on to me. I held her briefly, and then my midwife took her to examine her and make sure that she was safe and healthy with the initial things that they need to check out. And then she handed her to me, and I was able to nurse and just hold her for a while. And one thing I also encourage, whether you're in the hospital or at home, is to allow delayed cord clamping, because there's some nutrients that can come from your umbilical cord into the baby. And so even though the baby's been delivered, it's good to postpone the clamping of the cord until it's done delivering all those nutrients. So we delayed that. We also delayed a bath. And so that's something that some people don't know about. But we actually waited about a week or so to give her a bath. And that sounds kind of gross, but the reason is I believe it's called the Vernex, the coating that comes on their skin. You rub it in, and it's full of great things for the baby. And so we actually waited, maybe not a week, but we waited at least a few days in order to bathe her, because we wanted to make sure all those good things on her skin were absorbed into her body. Shortly after that, her umbilical cord fell off naturally. We didn't force it to come off. So those are some of the things that worked for us. And we swaddled her, I snuggled her. I actually, obviously they measured her and checked all of her basic things. But yeah, if you have a midwife, they'll do all the things the hospital would do, as far as the filing of the birth certificate, and we got her social security card, and we had her checked out. And so we still took her to the pediatrician to get checked out. I guess it was the next day or two, can't remember exactly. So we still did that in a doctor's office. But really, the midwife was awesome. She even came by 3 times after the birthing experience to check up on my daughter, to weigh her, to make sure she wasn't jaundiced, to make sure she didn't have a lip tie. So if you have a good midwife, it can be such a beautiful, it felt so at home. It felt so natural, and it felt so comfortable. So if you have any fears, let me know. I'd love to be there if I can help you. Ultimately, I think the best birthing experience is wherever you are most comfortable. So if you're not comfortable at home and that freaks you out, then it's probably not the best option for you. But if you like the idea of being in a safe environment that you're familiar with, where you feel a little more in control and you get to kind of make the call, make the shots, then a home birth is a great option that you can consider. Finally, I wanted to talk about something that I use, HYPNOBABIES, which is a type of, it's similar to hypnobirthing. And for me, I started using that at 30 weeks or so. And every day I would meditate for probably 15 or 20 minutes. I would lie down on my bed and just listen to a track, and it would help me. Now, I'm a Christian, and so for me, some of the you have to be careful some of the messages that might be spoken. But I always, if there's anything that sounds like it's new age or not in alignment with what I believe is true, then I would substitute the word with a word that I do believe is true, for instance. So for me, it taught me breathing techniques. It taught me how to relax my body, how to just take charge as far as intentionally relaxing every muscle in my body. And so by the time it was time for me to birth, it was so ingrained in my head, because I'd been practicing it for weeks, every single day, that I literally, in between contractions, I literally fell limp at one point, and they had to catch me because I was about to fall into the water, because I was so relaxed. I taught myself through the meditation, I had taught myself that when it's time to relax, you go limp, and you don't contract your muscles on your own, you just go limp. So I literally had my husband and my midwife come and catch me. So for me, that was very empowering, because if your body is relaxed, your body's gonna do what it's made to do. Whereas if it's tense, then it's gonna be harder for the body to do what it's made to do. So that's something I wanted to mention as well. That's an overall gist of my experience. Obviously, the midwife and the doula teamed up and they cleaned up all the, obviously I delivered the placenta as well shortly after I delivered Joyful, and they cleaned up all the mess. All I had to do is they helped me get in the bath and just cleanse my body, and they helped get my joyful all ready for me, and then they let me snuggle her while they took care of all the details and cleaned it up and made sure all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted. So for me, it was an absolutely wonderful experience, and save the best for last, it's very inexpensive compared to having a baby at a hospital. It's much more cost effective. So to me, it was a great option. So if you have any questions, I'd love to hear below. And if you have any comments as far as maybe you've had a good experience, maybe you've not had a good experience, and maybe you'd like to let that be known too. We're all different and we all are on this journey together. Remember to give me a thumbs up if you like this. And if you have any questions, let me know. Check out my website too at lifewithangel.com. And I hope you have a blessed day.